evening and welcome to this week's edition of Close-Up. And this week, for the first time ever, Close-Up has gone on the road to take an in-depth look at a phenomenon that's sweeping the Jewish world. It's called LIMMUD. The LIMMUD conference took place in the last week of 2009 at Warwick University in England. Every day at LIMMUD conference, hundreds of sessions are taking place on a wide variety of subjects. The participants carefully wade through the conference handbook, planning out their days. The idea of LIMMUD is to be inclusive. They have created a program to include subjects so varied that it tests the limits of imagination. Most touch somehow on something Jewish.
Soul food for singles. No sex, please, we're married. Married women and hair covering, understanding halakha. Home truths, domestic violence in the Jewish community, what can we do? Jewish counseling, keeping it in the family. Marrying out, not the end of the world. Stitch and kvetch. How to be an observant Jew in a Ugandan village. Shir Chadash Balderdash. Henna body art in Judaism. Scandals in Jewish public life. Hotheads and blockheads, a Muslim reads Parsha Pinchas. The Quran and Eretz Israel. So you want to be a rabbi? The rabbi who died for cutting down trees, exploring the razor's edge of Jewish ecology. Should Jews stop flying to Israel? Israeli electoral reform, why is it a bad idea? The intersection of Israel and lesbian, gay, bi, and transsexual identity. Why not to make Aliyah? Aliyah is the answer. Any questions?
This is a Beit Midrash for studying Holy Scriptures, and there are also sessions such as Learn to Lane, taught by Lisa Barrett, a rabbinical student at the Leo Baeck College.
Like an amazing thing to me that this can happen in Britain. The British community is so split into its different groups, and each group lives in its little ghetto and doesn't speak to the other sections, and it's so split into its denominations. And at LIMMUD, everyone comes together and everyone's learning together and talking together, and it's really like an oasis in the heart of Anglo Jewry. It's incredible.
What's your sense? What is it that people are trying to get out of a LIMMUD conference? They come here from all sorts of different backgrounds, from all over Britain, and they come together at this conference for 5 days. What are they actually here to do?
That's the amazing thing, because I think for each person it's something different. It's to live Judaism intensely in whichever way is meaningful to them, and also to maybe step outside of their comfort zone of things that maybe are not what they usually do in their everyday Jewish life. So because it goes across the range, there's culture, there's politics, there's religion, there's spirituality, there's yoga, there's music, there's comedy. So there's an opportunity to express oneself Jewishly in a multidimensional way, in a way that maybe isn't usual to how one usually is, or in a way that the opportunities just aren't there in their daily lives. So there's people here who are very involved in the community, and people who live in small outlying communities who maybe there's like one other Jew in the town and they just don't have the opportunities that are available here at LIMMUD.
Now you, of course, teach seminars at LIMMUD. Do you also attend other things that might be of interest to you? So is it both teaching and learning?
Absolutely. So I'm just teaching 5 sessions. I'm teaching this Learn to Lane course, and then I did a session for singles last night. And apart from that, I'm running around going to all these amazingly different sessions, very varied as well.
How can you choose out of that big book about what to go to?
Okay, so this is what I do. We have a book. So the night before, I mark 3 or 4 different things that I want to go to at the spur of the moment. I kind of decide I'm going to this one and that one at the last minute. Depending on, somebody says, oh, you have to go to this one, or you're too tired to go to that kind of a session, you need something more chilled out, or, yeah.
A presenter who is Orthodox himself has some reservations about the inclusiveness that he considers perhaps a bit too far away from tradition.
Inclusivity has virtues and vices, and that it's definitely a model to be employed sometimes, and in some places And it seems to work here, and so it would seem to work in some other places as well, but it shouldn't be the only model. After all, Judaism conveys ultimately values, and values can't always be taught in an inclusionary environment. It sometimes has to be taught in an exclusive one.
Now, when you go through the LIMMUD book, I'm sure that you, as you flip through the pages of LIMMUD, might find things that are being said in the name of Judaism by some of the lecturers and so on that may make you feel uncomfortable. Is that the case?
Sure, but the nature of an intellectual pursuit is you encounter many things that you think are foreign, strange, weird, or even repugnant, but an open intellectual environment allows the best ideas to triumph. I've never had any doubt that the best form of an intellectual sieve is to allow many ideas to flourish, and people will examine them and determine the truth.
Now, I would imagine that the modern Orthodox community would largely agree with your sentiment and would take part in conferences such as LIMMUD here and abroad. But the one part of the Jewish world that has totally stayed out of LIMMUD is the ultra-Orthodox community, the Haredi community. Do you think that that is a barrier that can or even should be overcome?
Ultimately, if you put aside sociology for a minute, but you believe in the power of ideas, then powerful ideas ought to be presented in public in every opportunity. Essentially, my worldview is as a truth seeker, and my view is that truth is best sought by sharing your truth with others and seeing how it's examined and what ultimately survives the intellectual process. So I think that when you deal with ideas, rather than sociology or entertainment, a broad base is a good idea. If I had to guess, I would guess that the Haredi community doesn't participate in LIMMUD because its sociology is complicated and difficult and not at all simple. And I myself sometimes feel that way, truth be told, but since my day job is as a teacher at Emory University in Atlanta, I've gotten used to that complex sociology and know how to cope. Not everybody can cope.
LIMMUD is intended for the entire family with youth and kids programming so that the parents are free to experience and learn.